Yifa, one of the questions that has obsessed me, maybe even tormented me my whole life, is whether God exists. And I've talked to scientists, philosophers, theologians. The question I want to ask from a Buddhist point of view is, how do we think about God's existence? What is the best way to think about it?
Well, for these years, I've been engaged with interfaith dialogue. So it's really a great education for me, because even though I have been a nun for 29 years, almost 30 years, a lot of things I just take for granted, or even some the concept. I just it's there. I never challenge myself, and but through this interfaith dialogue, I have the chance to make a friend with a Catholic nun, Sister Meg Fang, and I remember we become really like sisters. And I remember there was one time we were in elevator, just she and I asked Meg. I said, Meg, you are so smart and intelligent. Why you believe in God? And then, Meg just replied to me. She said, Yifa, you are so intelligent too. Why you believe in reincarnation? Well, we get even. Okay. But I think that was a conversation really hit me, and then make me to start to think. Not think about God, but think about reincarnation. Because the environment I growing up in Taiwan, in a kind of a Chinese Buddhist community, I never thought about reincarnation. But since I came to West, and you start to encounter many people to ask you, and even there are some young people, they even practice Buddhism with me, but they say, well, I don't think that I have to believe in reincarnation either. So I started to think about, well, is that, reincarnation or the concept of God? It's more like in our consciousness. The environment we grow up. Regarding the concept of God, the Creator, it's very hard for me. Because for me, I never have the idea about there must be someone create the whole world. And so just like maybe for some Westerner, they never cannot understand why we need to have the reincarnation, like a previous life, a next life, and even you think about you could be, your next life could be end. So I think this is very interesting for we to re-examine what does it mean about God and what does it mean about reincarnation.
Because we each have a cultural environment in which we've grown up with that makes our view seem like the rational and the normal view.
Exactly.
And another view is not normal.
Exactly. And it also could be, what all we understand, what we call the pre-conceptualized.
Yes.
Like the word we learn, it's a kind of a conceptualization.
But it's exactly this reason why I want to know your understanding of God.
Yeah.
Because you're coming at it fresh. I've been in an environment that has always assumed it to be the case with certain stereotypes and certain assumptions and biases, whether it's a scientific bias or a religious bias, it's a bias. So if you come at the question of the existence of God, how do you think about it? How does Buddhism relate to it?
Well, when I learned about Christianity, about the God, the creator of God, and well, that's also in Judaism and Islam as well. Well, the first thing is when you say, okay, there was a creator, and then you will ask, where did he come from? Okay, and then you tell me, say, it exists forever. Okay, and then I say, something exists forever, or it's already or has been there. That means that God, it's no beginning, no the end. But of course, also if you're from Bible, you also can see the history, the concept of the God as it has been changed. Maybe at the beginning, in the Old Testament, the God is more like a personal with a personal personality. Okay, and then maybe later you can tell that some Christian, when they describe the God, they say, oh, Buddhist nirvana means God. Okay, we say, well, how come? It's because it means no beginning and no the end. So, of course, the reason we want to ask why God exists, because we want to know what is the existence of this world?
Right.
Who created or who made it?
Right.
And from Buddhist view, it says, okay, it's not start from one point and someone make it happen. Always things, it's always when the condition together, and then things can, come to be. But it will change. But more like a, evolution. More like evolution. So you probably cannot find, okay, when someone start with a refrigerator, well, right now you probably see a fridge with a computer, can even talk. But maybe at the beginning was, someone tried to hire the food in the snow, and then couldn't find it, and then we find a box and then put it there, and then find, when I was young,
It developed.
It evolved. When I was young, there was no refrigerator. I remember my mom would put, the ice cube in a box. Yeah. So now we talk about, the fridge.
With computers and talking.
Exactly.
Right.
So everything, they're not really just the certain point start is the way we say it, we put it.
So your view of God would take that as an analogy, so that the process of thinking about God has developed in a similar way.
Well, you know what? If you can recognize that world, come to be without a creator, then you don't need a God. We don't need a God. If you can see that things, because all the conditions come together by, the condition itself.
So a Westerner, pardon me for being a Westerner, a Westerner would say, okay, the conditions are coming together to make the world.
Yeah.
But where do the conditions come from?
The condition come from conditions. The condition come from conditions. Yes. And then, the problem is, okay, it's so incomprehensible. Okay, when you talk about there was no beginning. Yeah. But it's also incomprehensible when you talk about there was a beginning. Because you were, asked then where the beginning point come from. Right. And this is all to do with our mind. And that's why come to Buddhism, when it come to what we call Zen or Chan. Okay. And why you practice Chan or Zen, it's because the master want to push you, your the logic or the way of your conceptualize to the corner. To the end, you find there was no reason, and then you break through. Oh. You break through. The problem is, I always joking, that reason we cannot understand the nature of the universe or, the kind of object or God is because, just like it's because of the limitation of our mind and our conception. Just like a computer. If you don't have the program, you put a file, you cannot read.
Impossible.
You cannot read.
Right.
Exactly. So, there was something beyond.
So whether the universe had a beginning or had no beginning, or is there a God, or where God came from, these are questions of logic. Mm-hmm. And my mind is trapped in logic?
Yeah. Well, that's what when I say it's beyond, it's because if we look at the function of our mind, the conceptualization, we only can find like two answers. Okay, there was an end or without end. But if you look at those answers, always has a problem. So the Buddhist view is when we come to this, what we call the metaphysical or fundamental question about existence, is you don't, from this, what we call the, ordinary logic to find the answer. It's just like a computer. if you only have a one or two program. But you know you have the other a better file. You need another program, but you don't have the program in your mind. You just won't open it. You won't open the file. So the God or the existence is you cannot understand just from very ordinary concept.
And so, what in Buddhism do you have to do to approach the subject of God?
Well, to see the limitation of our conceptualization. I think that I always tell people that to be a Buddhist, it is to see the limitation of all our conceptualization, the function of the mind, but not stop there, but to break through and to beyond. And so about God, I try to understand like people from different language. Maybe we are looking for the same thing. It's just we should not get caught in the ordinary logic. Okay, he created this world, and there must be something, beginning. Okay, or maybe it's already just there. There's something beyond that. And it could be all in our mind beyond that kind of logic. And I think that's why when the Buddha attained the enlightenment, he realized it.